financial management. We have tried to make you sure what is a financial manager, what is his role, what role he plays in strategic management, in strategic meeting. Today we are going to discuss more about financial management from finance unit 1 as well as unit 2. Okay, I hope you have understood what is capital budgeting, working capital management, cost of capital, capital structure, dividend decisions. Okay, some of the benefits of financial management. We have discussed what is financial management, what role he plays, most important in strategic meeting or strategic decisions. Okay, there are some of the benefits of a financial management. Let's have it as benefits. Financial planning, as we have said, resources are always short and we have to use it effectively to have a higher productivity. And financial planning helps, or financial management helps in financial planning to ensure efficient use of resources, that is finance. Financial control, obviously, you will reduce a wastage by making a planning. Like at the start of the year, you know how much finance you have, how much finance you are going to get in the coming time, and how you are going to use it. So you can, since it's a pre-planning program, you can reduce a wastage or you can observe a control wherever you can. Here, control doesn't mean you will stop giving a finance, but if something is going against your planning, you can put a tool to introduce that it will again come on a normal path or as per the planning part. So whenever things are not as per the plan, we have seen its control part in HRM also. So whenever things are not moving as per the planning, then you can put a tool to introduce a new mechanism or to bring it back to the normalcy. So this is about financial control. Informed decision making says, since every department is sitting there, everyone is involved in decision making, and finance manager knows the exact planning, the strategic planning which organization is playing in every sector. It's in terms of every department. So since he is well informed, he will be able to communicate, and there will be a decision then and there only with the finance management with other departments. So in this discussion, everyone will be informed about source of income, source of revenue, source of funding, where we are going to invest, how much money we are going to give as a dividend decision, and what are the periodic, like when we are going to get a money or a finance. So that's why we are able to take an informed decision, and everyone will be aware about the policy and the planning, and that will have a more transparency in decision making. So there will not be any kind of confusion between different departments as well as finance management. Okay, effective cost control. Since we are applying different techniques, like we have discussed about cost of capital. Since we are applying cost of control with every available resource, and we are having a capital structure where we are based on advantages and disadvantages of these different sources. We have made a capital structure where we are buying from, maybe taking loan from bank, where we are issuing bonds, issuing debentures, sharing equity shares, taking from preference shares, taking from friends, or whatever source we are having available with us. We are applying all the sources to ensure that we will be able to acquire a required capital at the lowest possible cost. So that is how we apply effective cost control through different techniques. Okay. Enhanced cash flow position. Cash flow is when money is either coming into a business or going out of the business. Okay. So when you have a trade cycle, like trade cycle in the sense in financial management, what we mean by trade cycle. Obviously, you will procure a raw material, money will go out, then you will that the raw material will go under a process, okay, undergo a manufacturing whatever process you have, and ultimately you sell that product. Okay, this is not about a cash flow. Once you sell that product, maybe after some time you will get a revenue from it. Okay, may not be immediately you are selling on cash and carry basis. Maybe you are having credit period. So after that, some of the credit, some of the money you will get back, some of them will go into a bad debt. So there are different conditions you have to consider. Okay, and you have to prepare for those uncertainties. So you make sure that on what date or in what period your money is going outside your business, and on what date your money is coming inside your business. So that will give you exact position on particular day, how much is your standing position, how much money you have in your account to go for a working capital management or to go for a particular activity which you have planned in the starting of the year. So enhanced cash flow position, that means it will clearly give you on what day, what will be your position as far as your cash flow is concerned. Okay, how much money you have to give somebody, like you have 1 lakh rupees with your hand. You cannot make a planning of that 1 lakh rupees. You also have to ensure how much money you have to give outside. Maybe that is a due date to pay somebody from whom you have taken a raw material. Okay, or whatever way you have to pay out, and you have to, money will come in. So exact position will give you, better transparency or better situation where you can take a decision about a cash flow. Okay, increase profitability. Obviously, we have discussed about the ways of, increasing profitability or increasing efficiency. So if you have a financial management, either you can reduce input, keep input same, or increase input. But in all the three situations, you will also ensure that your profitability or your output will increase, and all this is possible because of financial management. In every criteria, like in HRM, in marketing, in sales, in logistic management, every department, you can apply that principle of efficiency. And similarly, if you apply that principle of efficiency in financial management, it is going to increase your profitability. Enhance liquidity and solvency. See, liquidity is about how much money you have to pay. Okay, like even in our family, we see how much is the liquidity. Okay, to increase our liquidity, we instead of saving into assets like fixed asset like land or building, we save in gold. Why? Because loan has the highest liquidity. Sorry, gold has the highest liquidity. Okay, so you will have a solvency, like solvency in the sense you will be always in a condition to pay back, you know, to your debtors. So from wherever you have borrowed money, you can always be in a condition to pay back. So that is a solvency. Okay, insolvency is where you are not able to pay your money back. So your financial management will always ensure that you have a pre-plan, and you know that on particular date I have to pay back to this particular vendor. So you will plan in advance, and for that particular day you will be in a condition to repay whatever debt you have to that particular vendor. So that will ensure your credit in the market, your position in the market, and you will be always in a liquidity, as well as you will maintain a solvency. Okay, that's why we have discussed about non-performing assets. Most of the businesses which are going under a non-performing assets or going under insolvency, that is because of lack of financial management or inaccurate financial management plan. Okay, things are not moving as per their plan, and they have not applied financial control when they're supposed to apply. Okay, that's why there is a failure of business, or they are not able to see failure or success of business is different criteria, but they are not able to plan their solvency and insolvency. If I'm not able to pay, whatever loan I have taken from a bank, then I have what plan I had for this thing. So if you don't have a plan, then that there is missing no financial control. Okay, improve financial performance. As I said, if you are paying your dues on time, if you are getting money back from your customer on time, that will improve your financial condition, your financial performance, and whatever balance sheet you will share with your shareholders, that will have a clear cut message that finance or the business have enough financial resources. I hope you have watched that 1992 scam Harshad Mehta. If you have not seen that web series, do watch that. It's very good web series. So in that web series, a time comes when Harshad Mehta's competitors were trying to show image of that particular enterprise where Growell or some firm was there. So they were trying to create an image that particular firm doesn't have a good financial performance, and they are not able to repay their loans. Okay, so he takes action, and since he has a plan in place, and there is a good financial management by Harshad Mehta, what he does, instead of paying after 15 days, like due date is 15 days, after 15 days, instead of waiting for that time, he pays in advance. So that clearly shows that the organization has enough fund to repay their debts. So nobody can touch their image, and image is very important in market. So nobody wants to take any action which affects their image. So improved financial performance will keep you in a condition where you will be in a condition to take a decision as per the requirement. Okay. If you don't know how much money you have in hand, or how much money you're going to get in a new period of time, then you will not be able to make a planning, and maybe it will affect your image as well. Okay. most of the service industries, like why I'm talking about the service industry, like mutual funds, investment share Khan, or angel investor. There are many firms who are always runs on the basis of image carried by people. Okay, investor. If investor doesn't have trust on them, then people will not invest. People will invest in share market or in a forecasted market only and only when they have a trust. So in the financial management plays a very vital role to create that trust, to create that wealth. Like we have also discussed about yesterday, we have discussed about case study of Reliance, 2008 slowdown. We have seen that even after having a losses, even after having a losses, since their financial performance was good, financial control was good, financial liquidity was there, solvency was there, they were able to improve their financial performance by giving dividend. And their dividend was also very high. Like they have given 1+1 shares. They have given 1+1 share, or whatever number of shares you have, they have given same number of shares and as a free. Why? Because they had enough liquidity and solvency. They wanted to maintain their financial performance. To save that image, they have spent that money to ensure their image will be entitled. Now, next term we are going to see is capitalization. See, capitalization is the source of money. Source of money, whatever capital you have, whatever capital, whatever assets you have, that decides your capitalization. We normally, whenever we invest in any organization or whenever we talk about any organization, we talk in terms of capitalization. What is a capitalization of particular organization? What is their assets? Like a few year back, you must have heard about merging of Vini Cosmetic. Each guard, Vini Cosmetic has sold their product at 3,500 crore. But there were many surprises and there were many news in market. Like each guard has a limited sale and they were not that big at that time. Okay, they were not. It's a firm started with private limited. There were two brothers who started this firm. Okay, and 3,500 crore was a very very big amount. So there was a lot of questions asked, like why company, why organization is buying this firm for 3,500 crore because of their capitalization. Maybe they don't have sale at this time. Maybe they don't have that market reputation. But they had assets like manufacturing industries, their human capital, their equipments. They were in a condition, and their vendor, their chain of vendor, that was very strong, which organization has found as a capitalization. Capitalization is where you can capitalize. You can capitalize on assets. If the assets are good in good condition, if there is a probability or there is a chance that cash flow will increase if I use this capitalization or if I use these assets, that is going to increase my business revenue or it's going to increase my cash flow. That is capitalization. We always use in a normal terms also. If you have this knowledge or if you have this skills, capitalize it. Capitalize it means convert that assets into inflow of cash. Okay, using particular equipment or particular technique, can you increase your revenue? If you can increase your revenue, you can increase your profit, or if you can increase the inflow of cash, that means you are capitalizing the particular asset. So this is about capitalization. But most of the time we will see overcapitalization and undercapitalization. So these both the conditions are negative for any business. So we'll discuss what is overcapitalization, what is undercapitalization. See, most of the terms many of you are feeling, those who are not from a commerce background, they are feeling that we are introducing a lot of new terms. But definitely, when you enter into a business, maybe you don't have to interact much with financial management or accounting. But for your knowledge, these are the terms which are commonly used when we discuss with our colleagues, we discuss with our boss, or when we discuss with different vendors. So these are the terms. Whichever terms you are understanding now, it's okay. If you are not getting it, make sure that you write it down on your paper and you Google it. Okay, or you can ask in the next class whenever we are having a two-way interaction. But make sure that even if you are not understanding or even if you are not able to understand everything, just be focused and just try to understand whatever you can. Okay, I completely have sympathy with those people who are not from commerce background. Okay, overcapitalization is not synonymous to excess capital. It is not about excess capital. Okay, it is about you have a capital or you have assets, but you are not able to generate as per the expectations. That is excess or that is overcapitalization. Excess of capital may be one of the reasons for overcapitalization. A company is overcapitalized only because of its capital and funds not being effectively and profitably deployed, with the result that there is a fall in the earning capacity of the company in the rate of dividend to be paid to shareholders. See, always a aim of any financial management is or financial manager is to increase the wealth of shareholders. If you have assets, if you are having enough capital, but still you are not able to generate the revenue which is expected from those assets, then you can say it is overcapitalized. Okay. When you decide a value of organization, you decide value based on capital. Okay. If they have assets, they have manufacturing plants, they have a lot of latest technology equipments, they have manpower, everything. But if they are still not able to generate the required or expected revenue, then you can say this company is overcapitalized. Okay. So you have to ensure whatever assets you are including, because there is opportunity cost. If you are not using those assets as per the expectations, that means you are losing the opportunity cost. If I would have invested the same money or same assets in other industry or other avenue, maybe I would have made a more profit. That's why whenever you understand about overcapitalization, you have to see which are the companies which have lot of shares, but still they are not able to make those revenues. It's called overcapitalization. For example, there is something called studio in Mumbai called Mehboob Studio. Mehboob Studio is situated in the center of the Mumbai, okay, in South Bombay, which is considered as a very very costly place. Okay, very costly place, and obviously when you have a studio, you have a lot of empty place. Okay, because to conduct a shooting and to conduct the events, you need a lot of empty space. So that time, the owner of a Mehboob Studio, like now his son or his relative, they have realized that after having such a huge space, we are not able to generate a revenue which is expected from this land value, because land value is huge in Mumbai, and that to the South Bombay it's huge. Okay, maybe 40,000, 50,000 is per square feet, and that studio is very very big and center of the Mumbai. So they have realized, it is overcapitalization. So we have to convert this land into something where we'll get assets which is at par with the value of land. Let's take another example to understand what is capitalization and how you can make a justice to capitalization. Suppose you have 50 lakh rupees, suppose, and you are in a Pune and you want to invest that money. Okay, so you have bought a flat in Mumbai. Okay, and a flat in Mumbai is normal. Sorry, Pune is normally considered as a 0.02% of rent you will get every month. Like if you have a 50 lakh rupees of a flat, normally you should get a 10,000. Normally you should receive. Normally you should receive.
Received Paytm payment of 1,000.
You should be expected to receive 11,000, 10,000 as a rent. That is 0.02%. Okay. But if you have same 50 lakh rupees and if you invest in commercial land, like maybe you have bought a shop, then their expectation is 0.05%. Okay. Means 25,000 rent you can expect by spending 50 lakh rupees. So that is how you can decide, what is a worth investment. Where I should go for a rented flat or buying a flat, or where I should go for a commercial shop. Okay, those decisions are based on capitalization. If you are not able to make money based on the investment, that means you are overcapitalized. Like the buying a 50 lakh rupees of flat in this case is example of overcapitalization. Okay, by spending 50 lakh rupees, you can make 25,000 rupees a month. But if you are still making 10,000 rupees, that means overcapitalization. Okay, so if you are going to stay in this flat, then it's worth. But if you are not going to stay in that flat, then it is not worth buying a flat. Better you should go for a commercial space. Okay, there are many advantages and disadvantages associated with this. It's not that simple decision. But just for the example, I'm telling you what is overcapitalization. Okay, effects of overcapitalization. If you invest 50 lakh rupees to buy a flat and you are not making enough money, see, there are many things. First of all, how you bought that 50 lakh rupees, whether it is from a bank loan or you have taken it from investor or whatever source, or what is the opportunity. Even if it's your own capital, you have opportunity cost around it. So what are the effects it will have if we have overcapitalization? Effects of overcapitalization is loss of goodwill. Obviously, investor will lose, trust in your firm. Like whatever you are investing, if you are not giving enough returns to them, they will not have interest in your business, or they will not have interest in your future plans. So there will be loss of goodwill. People will not consider investment in your firm as a efficient business. Difficulty in obtaining capital, obviously, once you make this, if you lose a goodwill or if you are not able to use your assets properly, then obviously people will not be interested in investing in your firm in the future. So you will not be able to manage or obtain capital from a market. Window dressing of accounts. Window dressing of accounts means what? Like we know window shopping. What is window shopping? We just roam around and we don't buy anything. We just look at the clothes or whatever we have and just move around. We are not buying anything. That is not a productive activity. We are just wasting our time. Okay, maybe we are giving pleasure to our eyes, but this is wastage of time. We are not going to buy anything. Similarly, the window dressing of accounts has a similar effect, like we have talked about neighborhood. Okay, okay, to show people or just for the namesake, you have a huge land, but what income you are having from that huge land, from that asset? Nothing, or not as per the expectation. So that is overcapitalization. Okay. So whenever you have overcapitalization, it is just like a window dressing. Even after having, so much of property or assets, you are not able to make a living. Declining of efficiency, obviously you are not efficiently utilizing the resources, and that will reduce your efficiency. Liquidation, since you are buying so much of it, so much of assets, you must have borrowed, you must have taken money from somebody else, or even if it's your own money, you have opportunity cost. So since you are not using this assets properly, you will always be having a cash crunch, because you have to pay it to your from where you have lended the money. Okay, let us, like we can take an example of Baidu. Okay, Baidu will started to 2011. You must have seen that they are doing a very well. Like they have a 20 lakh plus paid customer with them, but till 2016 they were in loss. Okay, they were making a loss. Like even in 2016 they made a 60 crore loss. Last year they have shown a 20 crore profit. So how the cash flow is maintained? Because they have invested lot of money. They have invested lot of money in advertisement. Okay, that is assets. Okay, they have reached to so many customers. They have acquired lot of people in their firm. So that is human resource also asset for them. But they were not generating enough money. Why? Because there was a lot of commitment from outside. They have borrowed lot of money, and they were having a cost of money. Okay, they have to repay that money with interest. So that's why they were not able to generate revenue. Though their business policy was different, initially they have thought of profit, but initially they were inclined towards increasing their market share, reaching to every potential customer. That was their target, and they have achieved that. After 2016, they have started. From 2017, they have started making profit. Okay. So if your assets are more and if your liquidity is low, or you are not utilizing those assets properly, then there is a high chances that you will face a crash crunch, cash crunch. This is about liquidation. Loss of market, obviously your market share will degrow as your efficiency has come down. Low rate of dividend, since you are not utilizing your resources, you will not be able to repay, or you will not be able to share your extra profit in terms of dividend, or your prices of share will not grow. In this case, obviously, people will not have trust in your product or your share, and people will trade your share at a faster rate in a market, and ultimately that will again lead to a loss of image. What is the market value of a share, as we discussed? Loss on reorganization. Okay, no other firms or your vendors or other subsidiaries will also not have that equal efficiency. They will also lose market image. Like in case of Nestle, we have discussed a case study of lactogen powder. Okay, maybe that one particular product, or Maggie, that one particular product, has that particular content of carcinogenic organ. But after that, all the products of Nestle came into a spotlight. Like people were having doubt about the quality of Nestle, which is actually known for quality. Okay, so it not only affect the organization or the particular department, but it will affect all the organization or your future plans. Small value of collateral. Small value of collateral is obviously if your assets are not generating profit, ultimately your assets value will also come down. Okay, because people will calculate, or people will imagine that if you are not able to make a profit, that means this assets are not equally useful. Like if I invest somewhere else. Speculative gambling, obviously, since you don't have financial planning, if you have overcapitalization, you don't have a particular projection or forecasting about the returns, then you just gamble, or you just speculate. There is no logic behind your speculation, okay, or your forecasting. Speculation is without logical reasoning, or forecasting is with logical reasoning. So your projection will become just a speculation. It doesn't have any forecasting. And since you don't have forecasting, you can't make sure about your cash flow. Since you don't know about the cash flow, you will not be able to repay loan on time. That will again lead to loss of image. Okay, reduction in quality, cuts in wages. Ultimately, since you are paying, facing a loss, you are not able to repay the loans. Obviously, what you will do, you will first cut the wages, and you will fire the employees, and that will always again lead to the loss of human capital. Competition will take your place. Competition will take a benefit of your overcapitalization, and they will grasp the market. Like we have discussed yesterday, case study of Horlicks and Nestle's Maggie. Okay, so if you are not able to utilize your own capital, then somebody else will take a benefit of your mistake, and they will grasp the market share. Misapplication of society's resources. See what we mean by society's resources. You must be heard about CSR, corporate social responsibility. Okay. Suppose Tata is sharing a 2%. This is mandatory. 2% CSR every year. Okay, from their profit. Why? Maybe a Tata or any other company will ask. We are working very hard. We are spending every minute for our company, and there are many people who are not working for a company like society. They are not working for my company. They are not contributing towards my profit. Then why should I share 2% of my profit? And that is huge. Like there are companies who notice 500 crore, 1,000 crore of profit. So in that condition, why should I share 2% of my resource? So answer is why you have to share 2% of CSR, because you are using society resources. So what society resources are used by these firms? They are using air. Okay. Since you are starting your factory, you are actually affecting the quality of air. Okay, you are using a lot of water for your organization. You are utilizing a lot of space which can be used for other products like maybe agriculture. So obviously you are utilizing a lot of resources from a society. That's why you have to contribute towards your responsibility towards society. If you have started a plant, if you have a huge plant, you are utilizing it, you are manufacturing, you are affecting environment of that particular area, but still your liquidation is low. Still you are not able to make the profit which are expected from that particular industry. That means you are affecting environment, you are affecting society resources, as well as your resources does not utilize for your own profit. Okay, that is also effect of overcapitalization. Okay, this particular situation you can see in terms of the government land, what we call the government land, industrial area, wherever you have an industrial area, which is normally in a control of government, and government allocate land based on your proposal. Okay, availability of land in your proposal. In industrial area, you will see a lot of people have grabbed the land based on their political connections, and there are many people outside who are actually interested in business. They have a planning. They are productive source for society. But since they don't have political connection, and those who have political connection, they have already grabbed that land, and they are actually giving on a rent. Moreover, instead of doing a business, they are actually giving on rent. Okay, that will ultimately lead to loss of society resources, and as here society resources is land, machine, and society resources again loss of society resources, the talent. Okay, those who can contribute towards a betterment society, they are also not able to do it. Why? Because there is a misapplication of resources. Gambling in shares, like we have seen a case of Satyam IT firm. I think it's 2008-9. We have seen a big scandal in terms of Satyam shares. Okay, why? Because they have shown a wrong profitability. Like They have increased the value of their capital, okay, and they are not able to generate the similar profit which is expected by shareholders. Why? Because the shareholders will expect that the company has X resources or X asset. They will make a profit in the future. But they were inflated prices. That was not reality. Their balance sheet itself was a fake balance sheet. Okay, so those who have invested their hard money, they will face a loss. So once they will face a loss, people will build, people will people will not have a belief or a trust in the share system, or equity system. Why? Because people, if you are starting a business, if you are making a profit, you will share a profit with us. If you are not sharing profit with us, that means what? If you are not sharing profit with us, that means you are not in a profit. Or if you are not in a profit, that means whatever figure you have shown in a balance sheet, they were fair figures, fake figures. So people will not have trust in an investment system, and they will not involve, or they will not invest their money in the share market. And that is ultimately loss of business community, because they are dependent on share price. They are dependent on share farm of the public. So overcapitalization is not only loss for own firm, it is not only loss for society, but it is a loss of entire economic system. Okay, setback to entire industry. Once people will lose, faith on that particular system, like after Satyam or Lehman Brothers in USA, people have lost their trust in real estate. People have lost their belief, you know, you know, in share market. Okay, in the stock market, we can see even after having seen watching this Harshal Mehta case, you will realize that that was overcapitalized. Okay, they have shown the excess price than what that particular company or that particular brand deserves. Okay, so this is about overcapitalization, some of the effects of overcapitalization, what do we mean by overcapitalization, why we have to utilize our resources appropriately. If you don't use your resources appropriately, if you don't generate the expected money from that overcapitalization, these were the losses which you have to face. Okay, so you have to always ensure whenever you are investing, you have to make sure that you are able to make out the expected profit. Next term is time value of money. Okay, time value of money based on one assumption that people normally believe in whatever they have in hand than expected future profit. Okay, आज जो भी मुझे मिल रहा है that is better than what I am expected to get after 1 year. Okay, this is time value of money. Why? Because we have seen an example, but I will repeat that example for those who are not there. If you have 100 rupees income, okay, if you have 100 rupees income and if you are able to buy 100 chocolates today on that with that 100 rupees, then it's okay. But next year, if you have, if you are going to get 110 rupees, if you invest 100 rupees somewhere and the party is committing you 110 rupees next year, but you don't know what will the inflation rate next year. So if you are getting 110 rupees next year and inflation is also 10%, then you will be able to buy the same goods, a same quantity of goods with that 110 rupees. Okay, so in that case, what you will prefer, buying this year, buying next year? Obviously, buying this year. At least you will have resources with you, or you can consume those resources. Okay, that's what time value of money is. That people normally believe time value of money refers the idea that money available at the present time, money available at the present time is worth more than the same amount in the future due to its potential earning capacity is called the time value of money. Okay, suppose you are giving a lakh rupees to a friend, okay, and he is using for an entire year, and he is again giving you back that 1 lakh rupees. So the time value of money has changed. Okay, last year when you gave 1 lakh rupees to your friend, the capacity or the purchasing capacity of that 1 lakh rupees was different. And after 1 year, maybe you are getting the same amount from your friend. Okay, but the time value of money has changed. Okay, that money doesn't have the same purchasing capacity which we had last year. So that's why people normally prefer. We will see what is the application of time value of money when we discuss the bond market, okay, bond and debenture market. So time value of money is about what you have in the present situation rather than going for going with it. Time value of money is an important concept in the financial management. Just 1 minute. Time value of money is an important concept in financial management. It can be used to compare investment alternatives and to solve the problems involving loans, mortgages, lease, saving, and annuities. Annuities, yearly whatever EMI you pay, that is called annuities. Okay, so you have alternative. Always you have an investment alternative. You can see, okay, what suppose you are getting investing by investing X revenue. Suppose you are investing in share market and you are expected to get a 10% profit next year. But at the same time, if you are investing that same money in some other business and you are going to get no, a 20% profit after 2 years. The profit is same, but it is you have to wait for 2 years. Maybe you are buying a bond which has a maturity of a 2 year period. Okay, you are going to get a bond. You are buying a bond which has a maturity period of 2 years, and the interest which is there on a bond is 20%. But after 2 years, okay. But you have other avenue like equity or anything else, like where which you can sell at any time. But that is going to give you 10% profit after 1 year. Maybe you can say that 20% profit is more than 10%, but here the time period which is taking for a maturity is different, and you have a more liquidity. Even if equity share is providing you 8% profit, even in that condition, you will prefer share market. Why? Because it has a more liquidity than bond. Because bond needs to be matured after time, and you can sell only after that if it is irredeemable bonds. Okay, so people here normally prefer a time value. What you have in hand is more important than what you are going to get in the future. Okay, reasons for time preference of money. The future is uncertain and involves risk. We know that the more the risk, more the return, but it also has a risk factor. So people want to make a money in a shorter period. Intraday trading, you must have heard about intraday trading. Okay, people normally involve intraday trading because they are not sure about the future. Okay, okay, there are some blue chips shares where you have to go for long-term investment. You cannot go for intraday sale. But there are a lot of risky shares who has made their business investment in share market. So those people normally prefer what profit I'm getting. If I'm getting 5 rupees profit today, they will sell it. Why? Instead of waiting for tomorrow and expecting 7 rupees profit, whatever we are getting today, they will sell it off. Why? Because future is uncertain. Time preference of money. So this is one of principle which is normally used by share market. They will never wait for 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 for, for, for money to get doubled. They will book their profit even if it's minor profit. So that is what we call intraday trading. Okay, people prefer to satisfy present needs as compared to future goals. Okay, so whatever money I have some planning for today itself. Like satisfy present needs. That doesn't mean buying a car or multiple. But wherever I can invest, I can have multiple options to invest. If I have money now, instead of getting it in the future and then planning for it. So people prefer getting money today instead of getting into future because they know what are the avenues I have today with me. Because future is again uncertain. Due to potential earning capacity of money, as the same money can be invested elsewhere, as a different opportunities can be explored. As I just explained, you can have different opportunities when you have money with you. But if you say that I'm going to get money in the future and that time I want to invest, so nobody will intervene. So whatever you have today, you can go with that money, you can make a plan. So that's why time preference of money is very important in financial management. Okay. Two simple terms, simple interest and compound interest, which is essential in day-to-day life, no doubt, which is essential to understand banking laws. And these are the questions which are normally I have observed. Normally, every question paper which organization gives before employment, they have question on simple interest and compound interest. I don't know, somehow this is very favorite question of all the organizations, irrespective of whichever segment you go, whichever sector you go, they will give you one question, at least one question on simple interest and compound interest. Okay. Again, for those people who are not aware about financial indicators, for them, what is simple interest? Simple interest is simply whatever money, suppose you have 100 rupees, you have taken 100 rupees from as a loan, and the interest rate is 10 rupees. Okay. So next year you will pay 110 rupees. Third year, second year, you will pay 120 rupees. So every year, that 10 rupees you will pay 10 rupees as an interest. Okay, maybe you have taken it for a 5 years. So every year you will pay 10 rupees as an interest rate. So ultimately, how much money you will pay after 5 years? That is 150 rupees. Okay. So this is simple interest. Simply you will add that interest on that principal amount, and every year you pay that amount. Like here we have taken an example of 2000 rupees. Annual interest rate is 12%. Maturity period is 4 years. So after 4 years, how much money you will pay? 2960. So total interest you are paying is 960 rupees. So every year how much interest you are paying? 2400. Okay, 2400 you are paying every year. So after 4 years you will pay 960. This is simple interest. You are not calculating interest on interest. You are not calculating interest on interest. Like suppose the same case we have on a second level compound interest. You have borrowed a 2000 rupees from your friend or from bank, and annual interest rate is same 12%. And maturity is also same 4 years. But number of compound periods in a year is one. That means first year, suppose what interest you will pay, that is 2400. Okay, 240 rupees. 240 rupees you will interest pay. So how much is the cost of that 2000 rupees is 2240 rupees. So next year when you pay interest, you will not pay interest on 2000 rupees. You will pay interest on 2240 rupees. Okay, and going ahead, every year the interest will add, and you will pay interest on interest. So that is what we call in our banking terms, a vicious cycle. If you take a loan of 20 lakh rupees from a bank, they will not charge you interest on 20 lakh rupees. They will actually charge you interest on 60 lakh rupees. Why? Because after a maturity period, you are supposed to pay us a 60 lakh rupees. So they will recover first their interest. Like suppose your EMI is 20,000 rupees for 20 lakh rupees. So initially 3-4 years, you will pay interest of around 19,500, 19,700 rupees. So only 200, 300 will be deducted from your principal amount. So that is a huge interest you will pay in initial year. But after 10 years, 12 years, you will start paying, like if you are paying 20,000 rupees, maybe 10,000 rupees will go into interest, 10,000 will be your principal amount. After like 15, 16 years, maybe you are paying 4,000 interest and 16,000 into principal amount. Okay, so if you want to repay your loans, okay, or if you want to close down your loans, if possible, close down in initial years only. If you are closing down after 15, 16 years, so actually it is a loss. Okay, when most of the money is going as a principal amount, that time you're actually investing your money, which you can invest somewhere else. Okay, suppose you have 5-6 lakh rupees of a remaining loan, and you have that 5 lakh rupees, and you want to repay the loan, but you want to close down the loan. Actually, that was a wrong decision after 15, 16 years. You can actually continue your EMI, and you can invest that 5 lakh rupees in somewhere else, which will give you again a 20,000 plus profit, which you can use to repay the EMIs. So there are certain economic decisions, there are certain decisions which you will implement your own life based on this concept of simple interest and compound interest. There is formula to calculate simple interest, and there is a formula to calculate compound interest. And I think I have mentioned here. Okay, it's not mentioned here. I will share with you, or you can Google it. Formula for calculating simple interest and compound interest. Okay, it is very simple. You will have a principal amount, you will have a rate of interest, you will have a maturity period, and that's it. You have to just put the figures, and you will get a simple interest and compound interest. Okay, for simple interest formula will be P is equal to R into interest rate I into R, number of years. Okay, whereas for compound interest it will be divided by R. Okay, the formula is very simple. Only three terms you will use. One, principal amount which you want to calculate, whatever principal amount you have. Then rate of interest, whatever will rate of interest. And third thing is number of years. These three things: principal, interest rate, and maturity. If you put into multiplication, 12% is 12 divided by 100. Okay, if you put this figure, you will get actually 2960 amount. Again, as we discussed the present value formula, suppose you are going to get 110 rupees after 4 years. Okay, but you have to calculate what is a value of 104 rupees in present context. Okay, the present value, if you want to calculate a present value of 104 rupees, which you are going to get, so you can simply put a formula. Present value is equal to future value is 104 rupees divided by 1 plus I. What is the interest rate we are expecting in the market? Maybe you can say the lower interest rate, lowest to lowest interest rate is 6%. So put that 6%, 0.06%, at the I, and N is after 3 years. So you will get a present value of that 104 rupees, which you are going to get after X number of years. So why we have to calculate present value? Suppose you have taken a loan. Okay, you have taken a loan. Okay, and actually you are paying 60 lakh rupees at the end of the 20 years. Okay, normally we take a loan for 20, 25, 30 years. So if you are paying a 60 lakh rupees loan, no, in the future, divided by 1, and normal interest rate what we pay is 8%, 6, 7%, 8%. Now we have 6.7%, but it is a floating. Since market is down, interest rate are also down. But once market will cover, that interest rate will go as high as 7, 8%. Okay, maybe 9%. And N is number of years, 20 years. If you calculate what is the if you are paying 60 lakh rupees after 20 years, what is a value of that 60 lakh rupees today? So maybe you will find that the value is same, that is 20 lakh. But only condition is in EMI we are actually paying EMI. But here when you are calculating future value, it's not annuity. It is complete, like on 2000 January 2001. If I take a 20 lakh rupees loan and I'm paying complete 60 lakh rupees on 2021 January, then you can calculate the present value in this formula. So you will understand if I'm going to earn X amount after X years. So what if I have to ask them कि नहीं आज मुझे कितना मिलेगा? What I will get today if you don't want to enter into this future business? Why? Because time value of money. People want to make money as early as possible because they are not sure about future. Okay, and you also have to calculate the purchasing capacity of that money. If this flat is costing 20 lakh rupees today, maybe after 20 years the flat will cost 60 lakh rupees. So I can't say that my property has gained a 40 lakh rupees as a surplus value. Actually it is the same value which was there 40 years back. Okay, like I guess yesterday only I have discussed this example. Most of the time our family members talked about gold prices. Why they always calculate that particular context or that particular period in terms of gold? Because this is how you can calculate the present value. My salary was 500 rupees in 2001. Okay, if somebody says my salary was 2,500 rupees in 2001, but if you calculate in today's terms, that time maybe gold was around in the same rate, 2,500. So even today, if I calculate my salary, it is 50,000 rupees. So why we have to calculate present value? To understand whether a particular investment, which where we are investing money and we are going to get X money after this much of period, whether it is worth investing or not. Because whatever decision we are taking based on today's capacity. Because if I'm going to get a 16 lakh rupees after 20 years by investing 20 lakh rupees, that is actual loss for me. Whatever I'm going to get more than 60 lakh rupees will be a profit. Why? Because the value of 20 lakh rupees is going to be 60 lakh rupees after 20 years. So if I'm making a 70 lakh rupees, maybe that 10 lakh rupees is a profit for me. And I will come to know that how much is the profit only and only when I calculate present value of a future price. Okay, this is a formula. We are going to see a lot of formulas, but we normally don't get into a mathematical accounting or mathematical financial part. We have objective type of question, but it is just for the sake of understanding what is a formula and what is the utility of this formula. We have discussed. Most of the time, I will avoid discussing formulas because there is nothing to explain in formula. Once you understand the concept, you will be able to bifurcate or explore the formula itself. Okay. The second part is valuation, linking risk with the returns. So what is the valuation? How will you calculate the valuation of particular assets? Once you know how much return the particular asset is going to give you plus the risk, like valuation of shares. Valuation of share will be different, valuation of land will be different. Why? Because land will have a lesser return compared to share market. Why? Because share market can fluctuate. So given an option, or when you have to calculate the valuation of particular industry, what you will do, you will calculate assets like fixed assets in terms of valuation. Obviously when you calculate share value, you will have a different perspective looking towards it. Why? Because valuation of assets is also include this risk, whereas valuation of building or a fixed asset doesn't have a risk or will have a very minor risk, but returns will be very high. Right? That is why we call valuation is about linking risk with returns. Okay. Why we have to calculate a valuation when we are investing in bonds? There is a different risk. There is a different risk. Like bonds are normally considered as very safe investment, equal to your bank interest. Why? Because most of the time bonds are issued by government. Okay, so when you calculate valuation of bond normally give a very low interest. Why? Because it's a risk-free investment. You are buying from a government and you are going to sell to government. So there is a very low risk involved similar to banks. So valuation of bonds will be different because there is a low risk. But when you calculate the valuation of share market, there involves a high risk. Okay, and there is a high return too. There is high risk and high return too. Maybe you can expect a doubling of your money within a 1 year or 2 year. Like we can see example of Ruchi Soya, a recent current much talked share, Ruchi Soya. After Patanjali has bought that particular Ruchi Soya, the price of that share was 15 rupees. Before Patanjali bought this Ruchi Soya, the price was 15 rupees per share, and that company was going under a huge loss. Okay, the debt is 12,000 crore, and the valuation of that particular company was only 3,500 crore. Patanjali bought it that firm, and now in the present like in last 1 or 2 years, it has given us so much return that today's price is around 1,500 rupees per share. So just imagine those people who bought share of Ruchi Soya at that time, where they are. Okay, but obviously there is a high risk. Everybody was asking to Baba Ramdev, this is a loss-making company. They have already have a huge debt. Their products are not performing well in the market, but still you bought this organization. Why? And nobody knows. Nobody still knows why Baba Ramdev bought that company. But yes, it is making huge profit now for their stakeholders. Okay, so there is high risk, high return, and there is low risk, low return. You buy a debenture or you keep your money in a bank, you will get a fixed interest rate without expecting any miracle to happen. Okay, neither in terms of loss nor in terms of profit. But in share market, you will have a high return. There is something called risk averse. In management, we call risk averse. So if you have that personality that you are always ready to take a risk, there is a high chances that you always have a high returns or a high loss. Okay. But there are many people who are not risk averse. They say, okay, whatever I'm getting, I'm happy with that. So I don't want to take a risk. So I will keep my money in a bank. I will go for a FD, or I will keep in a saving account, or I will buy gold. So this is a risk averse condition. That is why we have to calculate the valuation of your assets. Okay. Maybe you have a huge, maybe you have a huge assets, but they all are into equity market. Okay, there is a high risk involved. So there is a different valuation for that particular equity market. But if you have a high interest or high valuation in terms of uh, land, obviously there is a risk-free return, risk-free values involved. Like there is a Khatao mill in Mumbai. Okay, so that was one of the highest sale which India has ever seen. This is what I know. I don't know what is the reality. But Khatao mill in South Bombay, it's a huge mill, and that was sold to Ambani family. And that time the deal was huge deal. I don't even remember the number, but it was a very big number. So people were shocked that Katao mill is already closed down, and they don't have anything, like they don't have equipment, they don't have any intangible tangible assets. So why they have bought for this much return? Because the valuation of property was depend on land itself. Okay, they have not bought the organization, they have not bought any name, they just bought the land based on that valuation. So after that, people have realized, when Reliance has constructed a mall and so many things on that particular land, then they have realized the valuation of that land. Why that deal was so costly? Because they had that planning. They have seen the value of land, the valuation of that particular property. Okay. So that's why we call valuation is about risk and return. How much risk you have, how much return you will get that particular assets. The value of asset depend on the cash flow over the period of time. Okay. The valuation of the same flat and the valuation of same land which you have bought at 50 lakh rupees will be different. See, you have spent that 50 lakh rupees. Suppose there are two friends. One friend has spent that 50 lakh rupees to buy a flat, and another friend has spent that 50 lakh rupees to buy a shop. Okay, but the valuation will be different for both the properties, because Here valuation is 10,000 rupees per month and his valuation is 25,000 rupees per month. So if I calculate that money over a period of time, the valuation will be different after 5 years. Okay, and those who are investing now, those who are interested in investing, they will also see what is the cash flow. I'm getting a 25,000 rupees cash flow every month, and here I'm getting 10,000 rupees. So obviously, when you start selling those assets, maybe the prices will be different. Maybe the prices will be different after a year or 2 years. Why? Because their valuation is different. Okay, bond. What is bond? First, before we calculate a bond valuation, what is bond? Bond is nothing but normally what happens whenever government needs some money. See, even government borrows from RBA, or government borrow from public, or government borrow from external agencies like IMF and the World Bank. So whenever government needs some money, they also need to enter into the stock market, okay, or the financial market. So what bank, what government do? Government will on a paper, government will write that कि मैं धारक को 100 रुपए देने का वचन देता हूँ. This is what we have in our note. So similarly on bond also they mention some of the terms, maturity period, bond value, face value, discounted rate, whatever terms we will see those terms in next slide. So on a bond, it's just a plain paper signed by government authority, and they will mention the price value of that particular bond. Consider this page as 100 rupees. Okay, consider this page of my which has a sign. Consider as 100 rupees. You keep this bond. After 1 year, come to me. I will buy that. I will buy back that same bond at 110 rupees. So that 10 rupees is actually interest. Okay. So people will think, okay, since it's a government, our money is safe. There is a high valuation for a government bond. Why? Because it's risk free. So government will normally interested in going bond. See, there is a diversification is very important whenever we go for investment. So people will invest some money in equity, they will invest some money in fixed asset, they will invest some money in gold market, and as well as they will investment will be in some safer market like bond, saving account, FD. This is what we call diversification of the basket of investment. So you cannot say, this equity is giving me highest profit, I will invest all my investment, I will introduce all my investment into equity market. You will not do it. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. So that's why bond market is always considered as a safe market. Okay, so what is bond? Bond is just a simply paper signed by authority which writes that value of bond. This is the value of bond and this is the interest rate we are going to give you after 1 year, 2 year, whatever is the maturity rate. Okay, and this will be bought by business community. This will be bought by people. Most of the time, this will be bought by RBI too. Okay, RBI also having money which is unused. The banks are not taking loan from RBI, so RBI will introduce that money into bond market. That money will come to government. Government will spend that money for whatever planning they have, a social activity they want to do, infrastructure development, whatever activity they have planned. They will spend on that, and after 1 year, they will buy back that bond from people or RBI or from business community, whoever have invested in the bond. So I hope you understand the bond. And there is a very narrow difference in bond and debenture. Bonds are normally introduced by only private players. Okay, bonds are normally introduced by public, that means government. Whereas debentures are introduced by private players. Okay, there are only two different bond, definitely because bond has a trust of government. Okay, debentures are even a private player can launch debenture. Okay, to launch a debenture you don't have to take a permission or you don't need authority. Okay, whereas to publish a bond you need authority. That's why it is mostly launched by government only. Bond and debenture, don't get confused if you hear this. Somebody is invested in bond, somebody invested in debenture. So value is set. Bond paper we know that bond paper also we know that whatever we write on that it is signed and it has some legal effect. Similarly, bond is also signed by government and it has a legal authority. मैं धारक को 100 रुपए देने का वचन देता हूँ. Otherwise, face value of like you take a 500 rupees note. That's something called token currency. Okay, what is token currency? If you go to sell that 500 rupees into in a US market or somebody else country, nobody will buy even for 1 rupees. Why? Because it is just a simple paper. It is just a simple paper. It has a token value. It has token value. You trust on that 500 rupees note because it is signed by RBI government and it is supported by government. It is considered as a legal tender. right? Remember when Modi ji said on 8th November that from tomorrow onwards or after 12 o'clock, 100 rupees, 500 rupees and 1000 rupees or 2000 rupees note will not be legal tender. So what is legal tender? Which is not backed by government, okay, which is not backed by RBI or the authority. So that is legal tender token currency. Okay, we will continue tomorrow.